guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alana here. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So, bringing to you today another installment of my therapy and tarot series. Slash, I guess, maybe deck flip through, so to speak, and discussion, of course. So if you haven't seen my last video that I did, which was live last week on emotional dysregulation, therapy and tarot, talking about emotional dysregulation, in the video, went through, it created a tarot spread, and also some journaling prompts, and I used the Edgar Allan Poe tarot that well, not the Edgar Allan Poe, but the Poe tarot rather. There is an Edgar Allan Poe tarot as well, but that wasn't the one I'm talking about. This one is by Red Feather. I'll put a picture up on the screen. And of course, if you haven't seen the video that I did last week, please for sure go and check that out. It was a very emotional roller coaster type of video for me, because in real time, I really experienced emotional dysregulation while trying to produce the live that I did, and so I was using the tarot spread and the journaling prompts that I created for the video, even for myself, in real time, because I literally was emotionally dysregulated. And my first instinct was to bolt and end the live, but I didn't. I didn't abandon myself, and I worked through the dysregulation in real time with all of you. So, so patience and understanding. Thank you. For those of you for that, because, I have a truly deep appreciation for those that, do this regularly, who go live, who've been doing it for such a long time. It takes a lot of courage and guts to, to speak in front of a camera, for public speaking, rather. As a social worker, as a mental health advocate, I have facilitated life skills programs and things like that in my past, but that is on a different scale. It's in person, and these are people that that I've have come to know while working with them, in the program. So, they essentially don't become strangers, right? Students, youth, things like that. And then it's on so much more on a smaller scale, right? Than, saying via the internet, in such a public forum like this. So those that do this regularly, shout out to all of you. But, for some people, right. And based on personalities and things like that, it's a big step, to do this, and it takes a lot of guts and determination and understanding. So, anyways, but just sort of leaping off from that and following up on last week's live, like I said, I wanted to talk about burnout and how that can wreak havoc, wreak havoc on the nervous system, right? And what that is like. And of course, not only am I speaking about this, with professional experience, but also, from a professional standpoint, but also from my own personal experience and the toll that it took on me, to date, and the level of commitment to healing and repair, therapy, all of those things combined in regards to, building myself back up, piece by piece, mentally and emotionally speaking, and physically too. And so it's also part of my healing journey, and why I, speak so strongly about mental health and mental illness and addiction and recovery and this healing journey, and why all of these things are so important to me. Part of that, includes, a lot of the discussions that I've had over the years. My Bell Let's Talk Day, hashtag Bell Let's Talk Day video, not sponsored by Bell or anything, but inspired by why I have these collab discussions with others that I have found within the creative community, even tarot, what led me and brought me down the path of tarot and oracle, and combining that with therapy, right? And what also led me down to find people like Drea Bloom, who created the Tarot Activity book, and so many other books that are from a professional perspective, combining psychotherapy with tarot. And how honored I am to be a part of, clinicians group that, we get together and share ideas and actually practice activities with Drea, right? So, I'm so wonderfully grateful to that. And, I feel like if it wasn't for my burnout, I don't think I would have found this path. Maybe not. But real life survival. I not only experienced mental breakdown, emotional breakdown, and physical breakdown. So it was a triple trifecta for me, not only being a caregiver, working in social work, taking care of others that are, other people who are vulnerable, who have disabilities, mental health concerns, addiction, lots of childhood trauma. That work is never easy, but it doesn't matter. Burnout is burnout. We're people. I talk about the fact that we're spiritual beings, but we're also human beings too. And so that's why this work, being a Heyoka empath, then taking up the profession of social worker, For those of you who know burnout, those of you who are first responders, who are frontline workers, you're literally the beating hearts of humanity. The strength it takes to give when what you receive in return, if anything, there's, almost no comparison. But still very much needed, because we need the care. We all do. So, but, and giving everything that we've collectively survived to date, my own healing journey from burnout is, I would say, about over a decade. I'm on the upswing though, and I'm grateful for every step that I make moving forward. So, all isn't lost. And there is hope. And that's why I started this channel. Anyway, I know I've said things like this before already, but it's just, with the video from last week and with the holidays coming up, last week was the American Thanksgiving, and that's a whole nother, whether you celebrate or not, but the understanding of what it's, and then we have Christmas, it being in the darker months of the year. And tomorrow, as I'm filming this, it's Wednesday, December the 3rd, 2025. And tomorrow, being Thursday, December the 4th, which is also the day that my giveaway for the Thoughtful Journey Oracle deck times 3 is closing, and hope to announce the winners of the giveaway the following day, on Friday, December the 5th, which actually happens to be my late grandmother's birthday. So if you haven't seen the grandmother videos that I've done previously, they're on my channel. Check them out. And all about the understanding of love, and what love truly means. Anyway, so happy early birthday to my late grandmother, as she continues to rest in peace and watch over me. I love you. I thank you. Yeah. So, but anyway, so if you haven't, seen the, my giveaway video, please go check it out. You still have time. To enter the giveaway if you are interested in winning a copy of the Thoughtful Journey Oracle deck, created by TJ Line, who's a fellow Canadian, a wonderful friend, who created this beautiful deck is a dancer, and just, the synchronicities behind all of it. So you can also check out the interview I did with her, and stuff like that, and the walkthrough of the deck, of course. But first, enter the giveaway, and using the hashtag below in the comments of the video, the giveaway video announcement. Enter the hashtag thoughtful journey, or slash hashtag thoughtful Thursdays, your name and what your favorite card of that deck is. And if you care to share why, go right ahead, by all means. So, and then of course, like, share, and subscribe. It is for subscribers. The giveaway is for subscribers, so make sure to do that as well. And yeah. So, just sort of continuing on, and talking about that. I wanted to also share with you some of the decks that I am planning on turning over, changing out. I've already put away some decks, some other decks that I want to use, and also that I thought would be great to share with you, especially, like I said, given this time of the year, right? And the full moon being tomorrow, December the 4th, and also known, it's the last supermoon, full moon of the year, and is also known as the cold moon. And, and of course, with that, this season, this time of year, mental health, and just what it's like, collectively, how, all of the things that are going on, all the suffering, right? We have people, like I said, burnout even, and it's, we have things like what they called SAD, which is seasonal acquired depression. I think, is that what it's called? I'll double check, but I think that's what the acronym stands for. But anyway, it's essentially seasonal depression that people go through. We're already in a mental health crisis. We've survived a pandemic, right? And the suicide rates are higher during these times of year. And this is the perfect opportunity for shadow work and things like that. And so just in addressing things like burnout, and especially, as a divine feminine, right? And the divine feminines of this world, the importance of, having empathy and compassion and kindness, love, right? Raising the frequency and the vibration of the collective. But in order to do that, we on an individual basis, need to do the shadow work within ourselves to heal, so that we're not repeating the same karmic cycles again and again, right? Hurting ourselves and hurting each other. Because all that does is lower our frequency collectively. We're already living in the denser dimensions here on Earth. So when, and I don't know about you, but the last several years as an empath, it's been really, really tough, because not only am I I'm doing my own healing work, I'm also in this deep self-discovery, right? Spiritual awakening, ascension, if all of all at once. I live like a real life hermit. Speaking of hermit, this is also a hermit year. This is it, right? This is in a very vital year for transformation. Being, right? Letting go of, with the full moon, letting go of all of the pain and suffering, bad energy, burnout, dysregulation, all of that. Purging. Mother Earth is purging. She's been purging. We're part of the purging. Anyway. So bringing me to these wonderful decks that I have in front of me. And depending on how long I, have to record, on this video and how long this video will end up being, we'll see. I might make a part 2 because I've been inspired by several other decks in my collection to show you. Anyways, so I have the Fairy Tale Heroine Oracle. This is a 48 card deck and guidebook by Sharon Blackie, illustrated by Amanda Clark. This is the newest deck by Sharon Blackie. And I believe you would have seen this already. This is a 53 card deck by same Sharon Blackie, but the artwork is by Hannah Willow. And the synchronicity of that, because we have a tree and the deck is called. And so the deck is called literally the Rooted Woman Oracle. Also, the other deck that came up, and that I wanted to show you is also this self-care package, Care Mail. It's a deck to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. It's 75 cards and a guidebook, and it's by Leah Redmond. And and it's published by Chronicle Books here. So I figured take a look at these decks, a closer look. And yeah, so you know what? Let's start with the self-care package, because actually the Rooted Woman and the Fairy Tale Heroine are decks that I'm actually going to be taking out to rotate in right now. The self-care package one, not so much at the moment. So yeah, so let's start with that one first. Okay. So it's a 2-piece box. The guidebook here is underneath, and of course it's got hearts in it. It's got hearts. It's totally me. Yeah. And doesn't come in the organza bag as you see here. That's my nerdiness again, and so is this, which, because it's a 2-piece box, I put on to keep the box shut. Okay. All right. So here are the backs, and of course, let me just bring this a little bit closer. Okay. It's literally looking like, like an envelope, like a package, and how actually, maybe I will be using this. Okay, then. I might put this into rotation, but anyways, right? Like, this is like perfect for even this time of year, because package and packages, the holiday season, gifting even, right? Care mail. But of course here it says to myself. And yes, when I saw it, I was like, yes, I'm going to buy that for myself. Anyways. And of course I'll have the link for where I got it. And I'm pretty sure it was Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll have the link for that in the description box for you. But of course we have a work of art, a walk, time with a tree. Speaking of trees, time with an inspiration. So pretty much just like directional, affirmational. It kind of really even reminds me of my friend Michelle's DBT set, The Mindful Wildflower. If you haven't seen the extensive interview and walkthrough of her entire journal and deck set, please go check it out. But yeah, so, and shout out to her for all of the stuff that she's been creating. She just celebrated her 1 year of the Mindful Wildflower's existence. And she's doing amazing things and is very, very passionate about what she does. And yeah, so if you haven't seen that, please go check that out. We're very much mental health advocates here. Like I said, this is what my channel is all about, but combining that with the use of Oracle and Tarot and other such divination tools and spirituality. You know, like I said, I consider myself to be an omniist, but, you know, I lead first and foremost as, you know, as a social worker, as an empath, a Heyoka empath, that with my heart, right? And aim to always be resonating at the highest frequency, always with the highest integrity, not only for myself, but for all of you, for everyone. And the way that I see life is that's how it should be. That's how we all should be. And so I'm very passionate about doing the healing work and not only learning from my own experiences, but stepping into my divine role as a cycle breaker to bring acknowledgement and being a reflection to those who need it, for love, for healing, for introspection, all of that. So, time to set an intention, time to reflect, time to play, time to organize or clean, time to daydream, time to celebrate, and very, you're right, time outside, time for rest. You can totally do this for daily polls, right? And even if you are a therapist, a witchy therapist, you know, a practitioner, a professional practitioner who psychotherapist, right? And you can combine tarot and oracle, right? This would be even a great deck to even have to work with clients, even. Time for movement. Time for curiosity. A therapy session. A special outfit. A special beverage. Something you're good at. Something new. Something funny. some solitude, some quiet time, some good tunes, some good company, some free time, some empowering information, some compassion for yourself, a soak or a swim, a small fix or repair, small delightful object, a small attainable goal. Anyways, and I'm going to flip through the whole deck because then this video will be super long, and I do really want to show you the other decks, plus I want to pull them out anyways. So yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so that's the self-care package. And then the 53 card deck and guidebook by Sharon Blackie. Okay. This is the one by Sharon Blackie, and artwork is by Hannah Willow. So comes out like this, folded out, and we have may the rooted woman who were our ancestors and the spirits and stories of the lands they lived in guide us on our heroine's journey. The Rooted Woman Oracle deck and guidebook. Okay, so it has a green ribbon. No, it doesn't come in the organza bag, but I put it in there because I hate hearing my cards shuffle. Like that, or shake in the box, I should say, rather. So, yeah. But you do you, I do my nerdy me. Yeah. And this is a Hay House Publishing deck. By the way, I'll have the link in the description. Of course, I'll have all the links in the description. But I've also used this deck already last year. The Fairy Tale Heroine Oracle is new to me though. I will say that. So yeah, I'm gonna put that one there. Actually, where you guys do like this? Okay, here we go. Here is the guidebook, and they are broken up. I think I may have done a video with this deck previously. I'll have to double check, and I'll have it linked up in the cards if I do find it for you. Yeah, pretty sure. So there. Oops. What happens when you push cards down? All right, so here is the cards. Very, very earthy, as you can see. I would say this is would be more of a fall deck. Oh, yes. And I think I remember now. It was when I was doing my video with my friend Priscilla from Priscilla's Tarot Corner. Ooh. And the cold moon is her birthday too. So shout out and happy early birthday to my lovely friend Priscilla of Priscilla's Tarot Corner. And I will have a link to the Pastel Tarot video that we did. And I did pull out the this deck as a pairing to the Pastel Tarot. That's the one by Lisa Hunt. Oh, yes. And I remember because this lavender color, right? The lavender in the card illustration, when I pulled it out, it just looked beautiful, chef's kisses with the illustrations of the pastoral tarot by Lisa Hunt. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I'm so excited to be using this deck again. Yeah. So now this is a deck I was gonna say is a deck I would probably more use in fall, but I just was really called to pull it out now. So I did, and that's what's happening. Oh yeah, okay. So what where I was thinking, what I was actually thinking initially was because I wanted to pull this deck out, the newest one by Sharon Blackie here, illustrated by Amanda Clark, the Fairy Tale Heroine Oracle. This is the deck that I was more thinking would be more appropriate for this time of year. That's what it was. But then, because I knew that I already had the other Sharon Blackie deck, I was searching high and low for it because I was like, I want to use them together. I just felt called to use it together. That was what it was. Okay. And then something too about the green theme in it. I was like, I could still use that for Christmas. It's green. So that's what was happening. Okay. Now I remember my thought process. Okay. Yeah. And again, we have what looks like a tree. So there's definitely a theme to trees and me and piggies. And piggies are my feelings. They're my fingers. They're my spirit guides. It's my feelings, like I said. And I remember when initially the talk of piggies came about, and that was actually part of a therapy thing, right? And being able to, to separate our emotions from ourselves, so that we can actually communicate that with them and understand their needs, right? And having a better connection with those parts of ourselves, right? When we have better connection and understanding of those parts of ourselves, we can also have a better understanding of those parts that exist within one another. We can understand where generational emotional trauma and trauma patterns and trauma responses come from, and how it's all connected, very much like a tree, a rooted tree. And how bare and cold is a tree in the winter. Very exposed, very on edge, right? And the more dysregulated emotions we have among those trees means that when we connect with one another and we are absorbed in our emotions and our emotions lead, that's how we end up into the categories of perpetrator and victim. And until we get to the root of the trauma, we will continue to repeat those same patterns over and over and over again. Which is why the world is where it's at right now, collectively speaking. Why we're in a mental health crisis. The world has become so cold. And when so much trauma is built up, we close our heart spaces, we build walls, we disconnect from the truth of one another. This is why the healing work is so important. Mother Nature is crying. She's been screaming. But how many people have actually been listening to her is the question. It's been very difficult because we're living in a world that gratifies that grind, build, succeed, push, competition, right? We're not machines, we're human beings. And when we get overworked, when we've been traumatized over and over again, there's a breaking point. Zombie apocalypse even. Yeah? Some people can't get through the darkness. Some people lose their way. They numb. Addiction to God knows what. Anything and everything, maybe. Yeah? Doom scrolling, gambling, alcoholism, drug abuse, compulsive spending, overconsumption. And then we drain ourselves, one another, and Mother Nature of the resources. But we have to get it back online. We all have to do better for ourselves and one another. How do we do that? By warming back up and opening back up the central line of our existence, our bloodline, our heart space, our emotions that affect our mental health and everything that goes along with that. But in order to do that, we have to be willing to face ourselves in the mirror and look at every aspect of ourselves. The good and the bad, the ugly, the diseased, How do we do that? By tracking the behavioral patterns of our past, of our now existence, the things, right? And learning to let go of all that pain and suffering and bitterness and envy and jealousy, the 7 deadly sins that keep us stuck in the lower vibrations of our existence. And engaging in all aspects that may exist. combining spirituality with therapy, breaking down the walls of control that has divided us and kept us separated from one another. By appreciating each other and all our various perspectives and journeys that we all have. But that is an individual choice, right? Love is a choice. That's the number, the choice card in any tarot deck, right? The Lover's card. It's a choice. And each time you heal, you level up on your journey. You become more in alignment with your highest self for the highest and greatest good of yourself, your legacy, your community, and essentially each other. Right? But that means we have to look at every aspect of our ancestry and not run away from it. Take responsibility for the parts of pain and suffering that we've been a part of. Don't run away from it. Don't make excuses for it. Own it. Change it. Because if you don't, we'll all continue to suffer. Yeah? That's the understanding of the true law of karma. It's what you sow is what you reap. All right. So with all that being said, I'm going to shuffle this beautiful deck up and let's pull a card from this fairy tale heroine. This false sense of sisterhood and brotherhood and dogmatic religion and sense of control. Nah. Remember, also understanding when you're a karmic cycle breaker, that part of it, and this is going down, some deep rabbit holes. But ancestral patterning, right? And then we wonder why did this happen? Why did that happen? Blah, 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 blah. Well, you gotta look deep within, baby. That includes your ancestors. Yeah, I said it. And that is in every aspect of self. That includes mental health, physical health, emotional health, right? all of it. Not just one aspect and then ignore the rest. But you only learn that when you take the time to slow down, or you're forced to slow down, rather. Because if you don't catch on to slow down for yourself, that's what leads to the burnout. But you see, you know what also that does too? That's also part of again, the programming, the trauma responses, right? We, as I said, we fall into the various categories, and I forgot there was one more. Because every time I would always talk about the trauma responses and I would name them out, I knew there was always one I was forgetting. I found it out today, though. And so instead of, what is it, 4 that I think I was always recalling, there's actually 5. But the 5th one is a newer one, mind you, which is why I think I forget. But you know, you have. Oh, hold on. Where did I write it down? Oh, right here. You have fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and flop. Forgot about the flop. I actually had to research the flop to really understand the flop. But yeah. And the various, behaviors that, flow within each category, right? Again, sort of bringing it back full circle, back to last week's live video, right? That's only really just the tip of the iceberg, if you will, right? But emotional dysregulation, right? Some of the things that I was talking about, which is why I created... Sorry, guys. So the video cut out because it was running out of space. But basically what I was saying, and I was in the middle of shuffling this deck, the Fairy Tale Hero and Oracle, to do a collective card pull, of course. But while I was shuffling, and part of why I talk and I shuffle is because the sound of the shuffling is very focusing and therapeutic for me as a neurodivergent. Because I'm very talkative with my hands, that's what happens. So, as I was saying, but of course I'll pause periodically so that you can fully hear what I'm saying as well. Because I know that maybe the shuffling for some of you might be distracting. So, being mindful of that, of course. But part of why like I said, again, talking about emotional dysregulation, why I did that video last week, and I guess part of why I suddenly felt very part of my healing journey, but I guess that was part of it, was also so that you can see in real time, why I created the tarot spread, why I created the journal prompts, yeah? And to see me utilizing it in the manner of which that I, was trying to explain to all of you. But anyway, the joys of being human, right? No one is perfect. None of us are perfect, so we can't expect that from each other. However, what we can expect is the the respect, the integrity, the love, and the acceptance, right? That's the connectivity and the understanding of what it means to be human and not a machine. Like, you know, because of the programming, because of, you know, systemic controlling and all of that, this, you know, turning the machine of the world in order for it to function, many of us have become robots. And so, you know, especially when we end up shutting down our emotions, we condense the vibrations, right? When we suppress our emotions, we lose the ability to really feel, have that sense of understanding and that empathy, right? And for those that are natural feelers, like the empaths, right? Like the ones that are sensitive to vibrations, the psychics, the mediums, right? All of that can be draining. And then on top of that, being forced into a systematic sense of rigid rotation and performance, that's a recipe that's a ticking time bomb. Recipe for explosion. No wonder why we're in a zombie apocalypse, metaphorically speaking. No wonder why mental health is the cold moon, people. Full moon. It's time to let go of all that rigidity and coldness and sense of competition and you know, hierarchy of privilege. Yeah, no. All that's got to come down. Anyway, sense of understanding, having kindness. Okay. The whole theme of my 3 degrees of love divination. Anyway, just saying. This is out of love, out of authentic love. No one should ever have to go through, but yet people do. People are losing their lives over it. People are jumping ship over it. Trauma. Okay, let's pull a card for the collective. Okay. Okay, what do we have for the collective today? Oh, great. You don't ruin the cards already, Lemon. Okay. Oh, that was quick. 6, spindle. 6, the number 6. That's the number of the Lover's card, right? In the tarot deck of the major arcana. Okay. Let's pull out what number 6 here, and that was okay. And I've been shuffling that deck for a while, as you can see, right? Okay. Okay. 6. No. Whoops. That's the wrong one. Hold on. By symbols. Lana, don't forget the symbols. That's 6 diamonds. So that is... No. Where's the diamond? Oh, there we go. So we're looking at suit 4 here. Tools. This is a suit 4 tools card right here that we have. Okay. Noticing here on I just happened to notice as I was flipping the guidebook, there's a printing error on page 116 of the guidebook here. So just to note that. But yeah. So, okay. So we have 6. We have spindle. 6 spindle. In ancient myths, texts, and art, the spindle can be seen both as a tool and as a weapon. Isn't that so true? Much like love, isn't it? Okay. Conditional love versus unconditional love. All right. It was used by oracles, sorceresses, healers, midwives, and priestesses in rituals and prayers. Sometimes the spindle was associated with a cure and sometimes with a punishment. But in all cases, it was a symbol of feminine power. Much like intuition. A symbol of women's creativity and of women's mysteries. In fairy tales, much like tarot and other divination tools, much like the Bible, any of the other religious texts. In fairy tales, as in mythology, a spindle is almost always wielded by a woman. And those women and their tools were depicted as having magical powers. In the Grimm's spindle, shuttle, and needle, for example, a spindle left to a girl by her dead godmother suddenly acquires magical powers as she chants a rhyme over it. The spindle then brings her destined husband to her. It springs out of the girl's hands and dances out into the countryside, spinning behind it a golden thread. When it finds the prince that the girl has fallen in love with, it dances its way home again and leads the prince back to her. In this sense, the spindle spins the thread of the girl's fate. Which women's mysteries, the mysteries of creation, do you need to invite into your life right now? Wow. Unconditional love. Understanding and acceptance. It's fear and hatred and all the lower vibrational energies of existence that keep us stuck, that drain us, that drain ourselves and one another, that drains Mother Nature, Mother Gaia, of her resources. And that is why it's time to purge. That's why this year is a karmic year. Cycles ending and beginning anew. Shedding the old ways of programming, of lower vibrational energies, survival tactics, especially when it goes against the good of self or others. When we don't learn the lessons repeat until we get the message. Sometimes that unfortunately leads to burnout. I know, because I learned it the hard way. I lived so many years raised in a karmic loop of overgiving, stuck in the trauma pattern of people pleasing, which is fawning, which falls under fawning. And as an empath who didn't know the depths of who she was, because I was conditioned to suppress my abilities, not always knowingly. It was a program that repeated itself for generations. And so it completely broke me in the process. But I've been spending about 12 years of my life in this cycle of healing, of breakdown and healing. So let's say 6 years of breakdown, 6 years of healing. The tower of my life. So, but that is not to negate anyone else's story or anyone else's journey, because they're all valid. We all have perspectives. It's not negating, whose is better, who is right, but it's about facing and looking and checking ourselves in the mirror. Always. Opening, healing, doing the shadow work so that we can repair the cracks in our hearts that keep us walled up and disconnected from one another. And repeating the same cycles of karmic struggle and hatred and envy and all of the 7 deadly sins. They're called the 7 deadly sins for a reason. And then you have the 7 levels of virtue, right? Healing. Just coming to think of it, it's coming to mind, right? Again, of course, being a mental health advocate and, having compassion and understanding for those struggling with addiction. You're thinking about, those that go to AA. Those who have attended AA, I'm sure, are familiar with the 12 steps. Right? There's also the understanding when we talk about things like grief, right? I think in a previous video I showed the book called Good Grief. And if I find the video, I'll link it, of course, in the cards. But you see how it's all connected. We're all connected. So having compassion and understanding for the true sense of community and connection, with integrity, with respect, with unconditional love at the highest degree. Remembering that no one is perfect. We in this incarnation on planet Earth, where we reside, where we all reside, the collective. We're all human. We're perfectly not inhuman. We are perfectly imperfect human beings, is what I was trying to say there. Excuse me. And you know, we're never going to get everything right, but that's not the point. It's as we live, we learn. As we live, we listen, we learn. That's why that's a part of the title in my videos, of the title intro. Live, listen, and learn. Those, for me, have been the pillars and understanding of love, unconditional love at the highest degree. So while we may fall short at times, you know, for ourselves and maybe one another, that's where also the understanding of forgiveness, patience, grace comes in. We learn to face ourselves. We learn to give and seek forgiveness. Have that level of compassion for self and others. And respecting that we're all on different journeys and different timelines. So not everything is, you know, as what the saying goes, what's good for the goose is not always good for the gander. Right? Because we're all different. We've all been on different paths. So some of us may need to take medication to balance our emotions, right? There's the difference in understanding between neurodivergence and neurotypicals, right? The world was made with neurotypicals in mind. And not neurodivergence. And as things happen and we expand and we grow and evolution, we evolve, right? The more of us that there become, the more likely we find the neurodivergence that come in. But the system forcing this sense of control, and you must operate in a certain way, that plus the demands of society, what? Okay. No wonder. How are we going to fix it, though? With the love and the compassion, the repairing the divine feminine within each of us. Because the divine feminine exists within each of us, right? That's the compassionate, graceful, nurturing aspects of self, the heart space, the logistics, you know, all of those things. Well, that comes from the masculine side. But that doesn't mean masculine as in, you know, the sex being male. That's the if you will, the spiritual chemical balance within us, the yin, the yang, right? But the sense of control and the logistics, the way has really thrown everything off balance. And it's about repairing the divine feminine. Valuing that for self and others. So, on that note, I want to leave the video there. And again, thank you very much for, joining me today. For, those of you who have subscribed and have, been a part of my journey since I started, and to all the loving friends that I've met along the way that have, continued to support me. I truly admire and love you. Those who became karmic lessons, thank you for the lessons that I've learned. As unfortunate and sometimes hurtful lessons as they were, but necessary for my growth, if you will, right? So, that hasn't stopped me. And it's not gonna. So, make of that what you will. But, yeah. And just know that, as I always say, I am love, and so are you. As I see myself as human, I know you are too. So I can have forgiveness in my heart because I know that no one is perfect. But just know that love is a choice. And it's a choice we mindfully have to make for ourselves and each other every day. Forgiveness is also a choice. Taking responsibility for our actions is also a choice. The question is, what will you choose? Will you choose integrity and alignment with the highest and greatest good for self and others? Or will you continue to avoid the mirror and either put yourself into the category of continued victim or continued perpetrator? Or maybe you're hopping and jumping into both. But remembering that when you do things from, ill will against another, you will reap that in return. But when you lead always from a space of love, care, and understanding, always with purest intentions in your heart and mind, then the abundant overflow that we're all deserving of, when you act in alignment with the greatest and highest good for yourself and others, comes back overflowing with love and gratitude for a job well done. So always, please remember to take care of yourself and one another. And while you're at it, please don't forget about me too. You still have time to enter the giveaway for helping me get to 333 subscribers. And that would be for 3 lucky subscribers to win a copy of the Thoughtful Journey Oracle deck by my beautiful friend TJ Maline. So remember to check out the video. I'll have the video for the giveaway linked up in the cards, and the details will be in the description box there for you to check out. Please remember, like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below what was your favorite part of the video, and you know, if you made it to the end of this video, please comment with 3 hearts. I love you all so, so much. And until we chat again with one another, or with me, or me with you, rather, in this case, or even, you know, when I do my my lives, please always remember to check your privilege, mind your magic, and as always, live, listen, and learn. I love you all so, so much. Take care, everybody. Bye.